You're tuned in to the Keetria Show and listening to SOB, Style of Business, the podcast with your host, Keetria. We aim to highlight the ongoing trek of entrepreneurs and business owners from around the globe, featuring stories that recount their struggles, experiences, and inevitable road to success and self-fulfillment. Welcome to SOB.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Keetria returning again this week for another wonderful episode of SOB Style of Business. Today, I have a wonderful chef that's going to be in the house telling us about all her wonderful, delicious creations, the things that she is working on, giving us the scoop on how she got started. She is also a blogger and a creator, and I am just excited to have her on. So let us go ahead and roll right into this good old podcast. I am speaking with Chef Vicky V, who is the creator and blogger behind Tha Fat Girl Chronicles. So without further ado, hey, what's up, Chef Vicky? Thanks so much for being on the show.
Hello. I'm so excited to be here with you, and I appreciate you reaching out to me. Yeah, let's dish. That's what I like to say. Let's dish.
Let's dish, yeah. Let's dish, and I can't wait until we get into the actual food part of it. So I'll have to go and kind of flow and take my time with that, and then also check out the blog for some good recipes. But before we get to that, go ahead and give us a brief introduction, just a little bit about yourself and your interests, maybe a little bit of background and expertise.
Okay, cool. So I'm Houston native. I grew up here on the southwest side. Yes, southwest side.
There you go.
And I went to college in Louisiana, found myself on the East Coast, and that is where I had the privilege of going to culinary school. I mean, my journey wasn't that simple. I really was out there kind of finding myself. I lived in New York and then ended up in Philly. And while I was there, it was like that time in my life. I was like 22, and everybody was like, what are you going to do with your life? And I really had no clue. So a lot of people don't know, I had just finished the TV show, The Biggest Loser. I was on season 9. So I had finished that up, and I had left college to do that. And honestly, I never really thought about what I was going to do. So I really took some time, and I remember back to college. I remember my grandmother and being in her kitchen, and it was always something that I was just interested in, and it made sense at that time. So, yeah, I went to culinary school, and I started my journey towards chefdom.
Yeah, okay.
And so, after Philly, I ended up moving back to Houston, and that's when I really decided that I was going to be a personal chef, and I didn't know really what lane I wanted to be in. I just knew that I wanted to cook. So that's kind of how my journey started.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, that's not a typical, or I guess like a traditional route, because I know a lot of people do their whole education first, and then they go into the industry. So you mentioned you went to school and you were, I guess you could say that your grandmother, I guess maybe you found inspiration, kind of being raised around her and then being in the kitchen. But like, were you always interested in food and cooking and stuff like that prior to actually going to culinary school?
Oh, yeah. Like I said, I was an athlete. So I went to college on a sports scholarship. So I've always been kind of social. So everybody would kind of be at my house. And I would cook, like, for everyone. And people would be like, oh, my God. And at the time, I was making these caramel cakes.
Oh, wow.
And people were like, I want a caramel cake for this. I want a caramel cake for that. I was like, oh, my God. Okay, I'll make them for you. And so I remember that. But if I'm thinking back to my first interactions with food, my grandmother, who was so interactive with me as a young child, rest in peace to her, she really inspired me from a very young age. She would let us make mud pies, and she would let us take her real pots. When I was younger, I was like, didn't realize that what we were doing, but we were taking her real pots outside and putting real mud into her real pots, pretending like we were making real food. And we literally, these are like the memories that I have with my sister, and we really and we just we were always in the kitchen playing kitchen cooking and all that kind of stuff. So when I look back, like I said, it just made sense. It was something that throughout my life has been a thread of happiness and just memories, and I've always been able to look back and draw from that. So yeah.
Yeah, that is the perfect explanation. And I kind of felt that because I was looking at your website and there was a quote, it was something along the lines that said that about a person has never eaten, or if they haven't been fed. What was that on your website? You put like mammy, or was it one of your aunts? Yeah, it was one of your aunts, I believe.
Yes, that is a quote from actually a movie. It says, "Oh, life is a buffet, but most poor suckers are starving to death." And that's a quote that I got from Miss Mammy, or Auntie Mammy. It's a very old black and white movie, but it's one of the quotes that somebody gave me. Somebody that was very pivotal in my life gave me a while back, and it's so fitting for me as a chef. So.
Yeah, and you know what? And thanks for clarifying that for me, because when I read that, I was like, I'm wondering if maybe that was because that was a pretty strong quote when I read it, and it kind of tied into what you're doing as a chef. But then also too, when I checked out your promotional, like you had like a little something on your YouTube channel, just giving an introduction about who you are and what you're doing, and it was just so inspiring that you just kind of decided that you wanted to do this, and then you stepped right into it, and things just started to unfold for you. I was very moved by what you're doing. And speaking of which, I want you to go ahead and give us the rundown on your blog, which is Tha Fat Girl Food Chronicles. Let's talk about that a bit.
Okay, sure. The Fat Girl Food Chronicles. So I've been Chef Vicky V forever, and I was that on Instagram. It's funny because when people think about a chef, they think about a caterer, somebody that caters. And I have never been a full service catering. When I was catering at the height of what I was doing, I guess you could call that, I was only a micro caterer. So I only like intimate functions and stuff like that. So I said, you know what? I'd rather be someone who specializes in a date night or a brunch for your girlfriends, or partners with people who do these pop-up brunches here in the city. I'd rather partner with them than do full catering. It just wasn't something that I was good at. And instead of giving somebody a experience where I couldn't put all of myself into, I'd rather not do it. I'm all about, you know what I'm saying? If I'm going to give you something, I'm going to give it to you. I'm not just going to do it halfway. And I want you to have the full experience. And I found that in full catering, or when I was doing bigger jobs, like I just could not duplicate my greatness or what I consider to be putting myself on a plate, and I couldn't. And so I really wanted to phase away from that, and I was like, how could I do this? And I just so happened to be in the Houston Food Bloggers Collective. Shout out to them, they do some real good stuff for bloggers here in the city. And I honestly, I was just like, I'm been food blogging, I love this, and I was like, I need to transition into something. I said, I'm gonna start a blog because people were watching my Insta stories and stuff. They for whatever reason, people seem to like my personality.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was like, cool. But in that time, I was going through. I had started therapy about a year before, and I was really walking through a time in my life where I was accepting all of me and walking through that and what that meant for me in my life right now. And I realized that so many people, whether it's, you know what I'm saying, like it was like my demon, but it was also like my blessing. So my gift is my curse, because I do struggle with food addiction, and I am overweight, but I'm also a chef, and in that I use food to bring light and love to people. And so I was like, my gift is my curse, and how do I make this work? And I was like, let me just live in my truth. All I could do was create a space for myself to live in my truth, and hopefully it will give people courage to live in theirs. So that's how the Fat Girl Food Chronicles came to be.
Yeah, that is so inspiring. And you're right. You know, when you live your truth, things start coming together. But then also too, just giving other people the courage, and the motivation to know that they can do whatever it is that they need to do, like within their space or their industry or whatever it is that they enjoy. So the blessing is a curse, but it's good.
And I think a lot of people walk through something similar. Theirs might not be food, but it might be whatever. And I'm not going to lie and say that I was not terrified to put that name out. Like growing up in a society where it's very taboo to talk about weight, and especially as a woman, people look at you and they can see it, but it's kind of like something that's swept under the rug. And I was like, I'm not going to do that anymore. Like, y'all know what it is. Y'all can didn't know how it would be received. But I've had so many people come up to me and be like, thank you so much. Like, you just being like, hey, this is who I am and I'm living in my truth has helped me so much. And that is exactly why I did it.
Exactly. Yeah, and I agree with you. Like I believe that people appreciate you more when you're being your authentic self. And that's obviously what you're doing. And that's, like I said, I haven't met you in person yet, but just the vibe and the overall feel just from conversing with you, not only on the phone, but then also like with our different exchanges and email and then just checking out some of your stuff on YouTube, it seems like you're just being who you are. And I think people appreciate that for sure. So that is good.
You know, it's so crazy. I get people, I have one of my older brother, like, figure in my life. He's like hypercritical. He's like, I mean, you're pretty, but you're overweight. I'm like, thank you. So I have people that are definitely checking me on that. And I also want to say that I am in a space where we live in a society where we're being accepting of different things, you know, body positive, and I'm very body positive. But I also have to, in that same breath, as much as I promote, hey, I'm the Fat Girl Chronicles, I also say in the same breath, like, I am not at my optimum self right now. And I want people to realize that I'm not just saying out here be big and just go ham and eat all this and da-da-da. No, I'm saying I'm on a journey towards being the best possible person, like physically, mentally, spiritually, that I can be. And right now, I'm not my optimum as far as my health goes. I don't have extreme health problems, but I'm overweight to the point where I need to lose weight. And so I want to also say that, and I don't know if and I'm glad I get to do stuff like this on the podcast so that I have an opportunity to voice that. You know, it's not saying like, hey, you know, you just be fat and be unhealthy and not live your best life. No, it's saying like, I'm fat. I do try to live my best life as possible. I'm also on a journey dealing with food addiction and how to cope with that being a chef, because it's crazy.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I can only imagine. I can only imagine. And so that was definitely well explained. Tell me how has the culinary arts, or just you, like how has being Chef Vicky V and doing your events and things like that, how has that allowed you to connect with people?
Oh, man. Let me tell you, the reason why I love cooking, and in your questions you asked me, like, what's something that people don't realize? People don't realize that in my house, in my refrigerator, if you go into my house, I don't have any food in my house for me. And people come in, they be like, girl, you a chef or what? I'm like, if you come, I'll cook. But I'm not just going to say, because the part of being a chef that makes me know that this is my purpose is because it's a gift. Like, it's literally me taking a piece of myself, a piece of my gift, and giving it to you. And so if I can do that, if I'm not even in that space to do that, then I can't. It's meaningless to me. So I don't cook for myself, and I don't know if that's something I have to unpack.
Yeah.
But you know, I really use it as an act of giving. So that being said, tie that back into your question. Yeah, it definitely has food. So food is communal. It always has been for the history of food. People come together around tables. People come together around fires. People have come together historically around food because we all have to eat.
Yeah,
You know,
that's true.
and you know, we all have to take that time. Well, we can do it on the run, but you're still taking time out to eat, and that's why families. It allows families even to have a time to, hey, all this goes on during the day. At the end of the day, we get to sit down and we get to discuss. Traditionally, I guess you could say that's how it went. You know, they get to spend time with each other over a plate of food. So yeah, connecting people, and then just living because it's my purpose and what I feel like God has called me to do. He's opened up doors where I've met people that I never thought I would meet. They get to do things that I never thought I would do that are food related and or otherwise. And I love people. I really, really do. Probably too much, but I really do. I genuinely love people. And so doing things like restaurant week or, you know, food competitions or just working in restaurants in general, like, seriously, like, I've been able to meet some really cool people that are able to tell me their stories, and it's just been awesome. So yeah, it definitely connects me with people because people always have to eat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And speaking of eating, and I know you just mentioned Houston Black Restaurant Week. I know you recently participated as one of the featured chefs for, is it NAS, the culinary showcase? NAS, okay.
was not.
Yeah,
Yes.
tell us about that experience.
It was so great. I said this in my interview. I said, you know what? I have literally grown with Nosh. Nosh is a showcase of Black restaurants here in the city. And literally, I was there the first year as a chef who was quote unquote doing catering. I had my little table, was real janky.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I tried to try my food. But I mean, they were like, oh, this is good, but what do you actually do? But I was really on the cusp of like, of deciding what I wanted to do. I was like, should I do full catering? And I just knew that was not what I was called to do. By the second year, I was firm in my standing on not catering. So I just told my friend Warren, who was one of the founders, he owns Brandwood Wine, we got to shout them out. He called me and he was like, hey, do you want to do this again? You know, you participated last year. And I was like, I can't do the full catering thing, but what I can do is I can help you in any way possible. And so I came that night and I was literally directing traffic. Like I was standing at the door telling everybody, go here. Because at that time it was in the ensemble. So they came to the front, they had to walk to the back. So I was like in that little nook, just like, hey, go there, you know. So I was just so happy to be a part of it, though. It's such a great movement. And then this year they called me and they were like, do you want to be a feature chef? I'm like, are you serious? Like, I was like, of course. And me being me, I don't know. Like, I was like, what am I going to cook, though?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because there's so many, I love to create. Like, that's so my lane. Like, just being able to create something. Because a lot of people, because I don't do, like I said, the full catering service, I do date nights and I do, like, brunches and stuff. But I don't do, a lot of people have not tasted my food. So they know me as, like, Chef Vicky V, the Fat Girl Chronicles, but they haven't had an opportunity to try my food. And I was like, yeah, I want to do this. So I thought about what I was going to cook for that, and then saw the other chefs that were part of it, like Chef to the Stars and Shotzi over at Edith's Kitchen, and she's awesome. And so I was just elated to do it. I was nervous because I am social, but like on stage, like I'm
Right.
like, can I pull this off? But it ended up being great. My food, the people loved it, and so I was so excited, and they were like judging us, and we didn't know. So I ended up actually winning the People's Choice Award. So that I was like over the moon about that. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I tell you what, you're obviously doing something right, because I was reading one of your posts where you said you finally figured out what you were going to prepare, which is, it sounded pretty good to me. I mean, I would have liked to did a sample myself. And speaking of which, what, like, do you have a preference over the different types of dishes? Like, what do you enjoy the most about crafting different dishes? Because I know, like, you don't do like the full catering bit, but there are some different things that you specialize in.
Yes, of course. So I've been asked this question so much that I finally got it down. And here it is.
Okay.
I do intimate events, but I specialize in Cajun fusion. Cajun fusion. That's why I boiled it. I use like that beautiful Trinity brew. Like I fuse all of that into something that you wouldn't think. Like for restaurant week, I did a savory crawfish and cracklings pound cake, and it was so good. Like I was like, oh my god, I was like low-key proud. Like,
yeah.
And then I smoked some salmon. I did a Creole cream, and then to bring that acidity and of course that culture, I did a green tomato relish on top just to finish that off. So it was a really good dish. And yeah, so that's the kind of stuff I like to play. I like to think outside the box. I like to play with stuff and create just new stuff, new dishes, new flavors.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and I'm a little bit ashamed of myself when it comes to cooking different types of food, because when I think of chef or trying to get fancy, because I know you just mentioned like the Cajun fusion, I would think maybe Mexican versus Italian, or if I want to do soul food or something like that. What's your all-time go-to? Like when you're not cooking for somebody or for yourself, and you go out and you figure out you want to go sit at a restaurant, what is your go-to?
Oh man, I like so much stuff. Really, I love a good fusion. So it doesn't matter to me if it's Cajun and Chinese, if it's South African South African and Italian. I really just love the way people can fuse together flavors. I do not have a favorite type of cuisine. You know what? Because because I haven't traveled enough.
Oh, yeah.
I feel, but you know what? One of my favorites is Lebanese.
Lebanese,
Lebanese
okay.
food is delicious. I recently tried. I was so ashamed. I feel like it took me too long as a foodie and somebody. But I recently tried Ethiopian food, which is like it's not really even that foreign, but it's such a great experience. I was just ashamed that it took me so long to do it, but I tried it and it was amazing. It was amazing. So just trying different cultures. Like I like to travel. I like to taste everything. Like I can't wait to go to Asia and try some of that. And just all kinds of stuff. I wish that I could say that I had a favorite, but I feel like as a chef, if I did have a favorite, it would limit me and my palate. So I'm just open to everything.
Open to everything. Yeah, no, that's probably the best way to be. And do you prefer like cooking on a stovetop versus a grill, or what's your take on that?
I love grilling. I think everything. Lord, I love the taste of. I do a lot of salmon. It's probably because it's like one of my favorites. It's just once you learn how to execute it, it's just so good.
Yeah.
But I love grilling fish, even like sweet stuff. Like you got fruits you can grill, and I mean I love the grill. And in my house, I guess this is a fun fact about me. Like I only will have a house that has a gas stove. I can't do electric. Yeah, because what if I want to flambe, or what if I need? You know what I mean? Like I need that option.
Exactly. Yeah, I guess that would be difficult at that point. So, all right, Chef Vicky V, tell us what does it take? Tell us what it takes to be a great chef or an exceptional chef. How have you gotten this far?
I am a person who, in my life, I've picked up a lot of different things as far as like what I thought my life was going to be like, and when I found or when I realized or accepted that I was called to be a chef, I think that made the difference, and I've never put it down. I picked it up, and it's the only thing in my life, not the only thing, but one of the very few things that I've picked up, and I've really held tight to. And that being said, I remember when I was in culinary school, I was just so hungry to be great. Like, there was nothing that I didn't do, try. I was in my house cooking. Like, I was just super passionate. I still am. So I love my craft. And I think out of that love birthed, I was just hungry. I wanted it. I didn't want nobody to, even to this day, I don't care if they tell me, hey, it's a little, competition, whatever. I was like, I'm going to get it. I've always been competitive by nature. I grew up in sports, was an athlete, so that's just kind of in me. So I just want to be better than, I can't even say the next man, because then you're limiting yourself with others, but I really want to be a great chef. And that being said, I read a lot. I'm always looking at other people, trying to see who's better than me, how I can be better. Take it from people. And people like, you still? Kind of. Because I think that people don't realize that food, I don't steal. But what I do is I'll take something and I'll say, how can I make this my own? And we all get inspired. I would be lying as a person to say I've never been inspired by something that somebody has done, because that's a lie. And I think that's what art, and I think that's what the things that you put out of greatness are supposed to do. They're supposed to invoke people to change and to move and to be their best. And so there's some great chefs out there that inspire me, and I'm like, okay, I see what they did. I don't want to use exactly what they did, but how can I create, like if they did something with a certain ingredient, how can I make that my own? How can I elevate it? And I think that's the thing that'll make you a great chef or great anything. Seeing what people are doing, seeing how you can be cutting edge, and just putting yourself into it and letting that be okay. Because sometimes I feel like if you're always looking at other people's stuff, you don't get to appreciate like your gift.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that's the one thing I can say about being a chef. And know that it takes time. Cooking is not something that comes easy. Cooking is not a natural thing.
That's true.
And I've learned that over the years. Like most people, to be honest with you, like to have food that could be like in a restaurant, that takes skill and practice. That's not, even my plating is like, I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Like I just want to be better. So nobody is you never, especially in the food industry, you never hit, there's no ceiling to it. It's always you can be better. It's always, cleaner and tighter. Your presentation could be better. You know what I'm saying? Like your slicing could be like, you know what I'm saying? Just finer. Like it's always something that you can elevate in. So yeah.
Always room for growth. I got you and I hear you. I certainly agree. So tell us, like, when you have like your different catering events, what's the main thing that you want people to take away from the Chef Vicky V experience?
Flavor.
Flavor. All right. Here we go. There we go.
I want their palate. I want them to remember what they've had from me. I don't want them walking away saying, oh, you know, I mean, everybody has a bad day. Everybody, you know, nobody's perfect. But I want the majority of sound, you know, when it comes to me, to be like, hey, you know, she really did her thing. Like, she can cook. And I think that means a lot to me as a chef. So, yeah, I want people to, I want people to feel the love too. Like, I want people to feel the love of the dish and realize that I did my best.
Exactly. Yeah, to feel the love and to taste the flavor. So, hey, you can invite me anytime. I'm always up for a good meal.
Girl, you are welcome. You are welcome.
Yes, ma'am. Perfect. And I know the industry can be pretty fast paced and, you know, there's always, like you were saying, room for growth and things like that. But for someone who is like yourself and busy and different opportunities are coming about, how do you go about staying grounded to make sure that you are focused, sticking to your vision and not pulled away into other things?
Right. That's still, you know what, I would be lying to say if I haven't 100% down yet, because the more that I do and the more that people are seeing and kind of like latching on to what I'm doing with the Fat Girl Food Chronicles, I do get a lot of things that come through and I'm like, oh, should I do this? Should I not do this? I'm like, what do I want to do?
Yeah.
What is my vision? And I want to eat, travel, and get paid for it. Like, that's what I want at the end of the day. I think that's my ultimate goal. And I want to create dishes, like, not at the end of my life, but people are like, so when you going to cook? So I want to have a bed and breakfast that wins a James Beard Award. I want, like, 4 rooms that I could create, like, really bomb dishes and be able to have people come and pay for it during the week. And then on the weekends have, like, young men from inner cities come and stay there and get like an experience that they would never have had otherwise.
Oh, wow.
So that's what I want to end up doing, like at the end of it all. So that's when I'll be cooking. But right now, I'm just trying to make sure that everything that I do aligns with that vision. And I think that you have to take the time and figure out what it is that you want. And you can't be pulled because of money. I have so many times accepted stuff because just to take it for, you know, money. We're human and we have bills to pay and things like that. But I'm like, if you could get to the point, of course, you know, at the beginning, you do what you have to do. And in that season, you find that you're able to learn things about yourself, what you want to do, what is necessary for you to do sometimes, and then also how you can navigate between those two spaces. So what I did was I told myself, what is it that I want to do? I want to cook. I want to cook for intimate events, and I want to be able to give people an experience. So if it doesn't really pertain to that, then I can't do it. And I hate to tell people no. But what I've learned to do is say, hey, I'm not the best for this for you. Because what I'd rather do is give you somebody who is. And that way I'm always connected with other chefs so that when things come through that aren't necessarily for me, you can always be a blessing to somebody else. Like, everything is not for you. You know, and I think that sometimes people are always like, oh, this mine. They're trying to snatch up everything. And hey, that works for some people. But for me, it's like, if I can't give you my best, here is somebody who can. And I have never not been blessed or received something that I was supposed to receive, because I'm always in the space of how can I give to somebody else? How can I make, you know, I'm like, if we all can win, I mean, everybody got to eat 3 times a day, especially when it comes to my industry. You know, it's enough out here for all of us. So I think knowing your vision, staying true to yourself, and just having those things that you want to do, your anchors, having those things that you won't divert from. Like, I literally get DM or message a lot during the week about, can you cater this? Can you do this? And I'm like, hey, you know what? I want to make sure that if you ever have a chance to experience my food, I give you the best. And right now, me doing a full service catering isn't the best. And people are like, why do you stress that so much? It's because I want you to have the best for you. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, exactly. I want you to be happy with your their experience, and that might not always be me. So it has not been an easy journey to get there. But now that I am there, I have to stay true to myself. So
exactly. Yeah, no, that's perfect, and that's some great wisdom that you just graced us with, and we truly appreciate it. And before we wrap up, there's a couple other questions I want to throw at you. I know that you are still in the trenches, you're still building your blog and getting things going.
Oh, yeah.
So tell us, what steps are you taking, rather, to make sure that the word gets out about Chef Vicky V and the Fat Girl Food Chronicles? What sort of, I don't want to say marketing, but what sort of, how do you go about promoting your services and what you're doing?
Well, really right now, I'm really Instagram based. I mean, I have the fatgirlfoodchronicles.com. I've been honestly busy. I'm in that kind of I wouldn't say, I don't know what space it is. I'm still working and still doing things, but I'm trying to figure out, okay, exactly like I was talking about, what lane is the Fat Girl Food Chronicles is gonna be, because I was like, I'm gonna do all this food stuff and recipes. But what I learned is that people, when I pulled up, at the end of the year on Instagram, you could pull up, your favorite, the pictures that people have liked the most, your top, I think it was, top 6 or whatever.
Yeah.
Or top 9, I'm sorry. And it was all me. So people had liked my photos more than they liked my pictures. They like me holding my food, and they like me, talking about my food, but they like me. And so I'm like, oh, man, that's scary, because I'm like, I only got so much to say.
Exactly.
But yeah, so I'm navigating between what people really want, and I think that they like me, and they like me talking about food and kind of introducing them to new food. But as far as recipes all the time, they like that stuff, but they rather me talk them through it. So that being said, I have started doing videos and all this kind of stuff. So I think I'm gonna go more that way. And I have some event. I'm doing my first event this summer. Oh my gosh! So that is it's me. On the front line, which I've always partnered with somebody else, but I think it's time. I think it's time. I've gotten my feet wet enough that I got, I think I can stand on my own at this point. And so I decided that I was going to do a brunch pop-up this summer, so definitely be looking out for that.
Oh, yes.
It's coming soon. Yes, it's going to be super fun. And it's everything that I like. If I do an event, I want this, this component, and I want it to make sense and have to be fun and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I definitely have some stuff coming up soon.
Excellent. Okay, well, yeah, we will definitely keep our palates on pause until we get those event dates, and I'll definitely be looking forward to it. But let's go ahead and get ready to wrap up. Chef Vicky V, go ahead and leave us. I know you've given us a lot of good things to work with and go back and listen to and digest, but leave us with some last thoughts and words of encouragement, just so that we can have something to take with us as we move forward, as entrepreneurs or even in our respective careers and industry.
For sure. I think the biggest piece of wisdom that I can give anyone at this moment is to live your truth. I think that for so long, people have had to be hush-hush about things, or have decided they didn't have the courage to step out and do something that they knew inside of them was passionate or was their passion because they thought that it would be silly to someone else, or it doesn't make sense. How am I going to make this make sense? But really, you just have to start doing. You have to get out there. You have to say, you know what? And nobody might like this. One of my best friends told me, he said, you have to live in maybe it will, maybe it won't space. Maybe it will pop off, or maybe it won't. But at least you've done what you thought was the right thing for you. And I think that just live in your truth, no matter what it is. If it's food, if it's finance, if it's ministry, whatever it is, be true to the fabric of you. And then that's universal. So yeah, that's what I could give people if they were to ask.
Perfect. And tell us where we can find more information about the fabulous Chef Vicky V online, the Fat Food Girl Chronicles, and also if you have the specifics on the event, feel free to drop those in your website handles as well.
Okay, so we have it. I'm actually going tonight to finish editing the promotional stuff that we shot this weekend. But the event is going to be on June 17th. I can't give you too much, but I can give you a date.
Okay.
On y'all's calendar. It's going to be June 17th, which is Father's Day, but don't worry, because we got something for the fathers. So it's going to be so fun. So look forward to that day. All the information will be dropping within a week.
Okay.
So yeah, super excited about that. You can find me on it's THA. So not the, but Tha Fat Girl Food Chronicles on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and of course online at thefatgirlfoodchronicles.com.
Perfect. All right, Chef. Well, thanks so much for joining. I truly appreciate it. I'm glad that I found you and just having a go-to now when I get tired of eating some of the same stuff. I know you're located in Houston as well, so that's good. And I appreciate your time today.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for having me. This was wonderful. I love that we can come together as women, as Black women, and do this and do it well.
Ma'am.
So this is awesome. This is so right up my alley. I'm appreciative. Thank you.
You're welcome, Chef Vicky V. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for hanging out with us here on SOB. We hope this episode has been resourceful. If you'd like to check out the latest articles or follow Keetria's website updates, just log on to Keetria.com or follow her on Twitter at KEETRIA.